Hi and welcome. I'm Reverend Andrew, one of the co-founders of Sarana Institute. And as it's the season of giving, I thought maybe to give back, to just share some thoughts around generosity and giving. The environmentalist and author Paul Hawken, in his book Blessed Unrest, talks about the work of charities, the work of nonprofit organizations, and how the enormous wealth of it in the world is like the response of the earth. He says this kind of giving is like the immune response of the earth, and that it's its response to inflammation, to the suffering of the world. In her work, Joan Halifax Roshi, who has been tirelessly training and serving the caregiving and healthcare community for over 40 years, uses this caregiving motto describing generosity when we say to ourselves, our presence is enough. So this idea for us in Buddhism and in Buddhist practice, generosity, like mindfulness, is also a practice, something that we can do and that helps develop what we call this generous and loving heart. In a prayer at the San Francisco Zen Center, their meal prayer, part of it goes, may we, along with all beings, realize the emptiness of the three wheels, giver, receiver, and gift. And that's this idea of generosity, is that there must be a giver, there must be a gift, but there also must be a receiver of that gift. In neuroscience, they actually help us in giving us some very useful insight into how generosity and giving actually benefits us on many levels and increases our well-being and our personal freedom and joy. They talk about how this part of the brain where altruism lives is actually part of the deep brain. Actually, the oldest and most primitive part of our brain is where altruism is actually wired. So it's really interesting that it's an old part of us to be giving and caring. And also, they say it's what creates happiness. And they speak about this trifecta of neurotransmitters called the happiness trifecta. So the first of the trifecta is serotonin. It's what really helps us to have a good night's sleep. It enhances our memory, it aids our digestion. So it's one of those things that creates a sense of well-being in the body. The second is dopamine, and dopamine really helps us with our sense of motivation, our urge to do things. And the last is oxytocin, which they call the cuddle hormone. It's what makes us feel good. But it also helps to decrease social fears and enhances and builds empathy in us. And they say it's even an anti-inflammatory in dealing with pain. In Buddhism, we look at generosity through the word dana, which is one of the 6 virtues, or the paramitas. And these are qualities that we develop and that enhance our sense of compassion and build our sense of wisdom within us. And generosity is the very first one. It builds the foundation for compassion. Because generosity is about transforming our selfishness, our self-centeredness, our stinginess. And it's about building this open heart, the generous heart that considers giving to others. It's what builds the whole world of volunteerism and charitable giving, this idea of caring for others more than ourselves. So as we practice this quality of generosity, we can think about it working in 3 different ways, or enhancing giving in 3 different methods. The first is this idea that we give materially. So the idea that I write a check is one way that I can give, but also I can give by offering my time, my energy, my focus. There's many ways I can offer my gift. Whatever my gifts are, look at ways in your life that you can offer those gifts to others. This quality of giving also is a development. Because sometimes I might give because I want to get something back. So we would call that selfish giving. But the research shows that we still get benefit from even selfish giving, and certainly it gives to others, so it's beneficial to us. But the work we're doing here is to move towards selfless giving, where we don't want anything in return, this sense of non-attached giving. The second type of giving is fearlessness. offering the gift of fearlessness, whether we're dealing with another friend who's in struggle or we're dealing with our own struggles. This is this quality of not turning away, and it's a cornerstone of compassion, is to be generous with ourselves in the places that we're afraid of, in the places that we don't want to look at the places that we want to turn away from in others. We offer the gift of fearlessness. And the third is called the gift of giving the Dharma. And in this case, Dharma means the teachings or the lessons that you learn from your practice, the lessons of goodness. And you think about ways that you can offer those, whether you think about it in your body, by being kinder and more generous towards yourselves or your offering of your body to others. You think of this generosity around your speech, your words, and the way you communicate. And lastly, you think about it in terms of your mind, your thoughts. And how do I take these lessons, offer them not only to yourselves, but offer these lessons to others? And finally, the building block we could think of generosity is built upon gratitude. Because gratitude is about learning the lessons of being a receiver. When you reflect on gratitude each day or morning, if you have it as a daily practice, you think about what you're receiving. You think about what you're grateful for. The warmth of caring that comes from your best friend. The gratitude you feel for that morning sunrise or that evening sunset. Gratitude is that quality that warms our hearts and helps us to appreciate all the gifts that come from life. And from these gifts we realize that we're all in it together, that we're interconnected, and that we don't do anything on our own. I'd like to end this talk with just a short reflection on a young 14-year-old, although she's not 14 anymore. Her name is Changong. And when she was 14 years old, living in Saigon in Vietnam, she wanted to do something to help the starving children. And she calls this the task of doing one small thing. And what she did was she started going and asking one person to set aside one portion of rice. And then she asked that person eventually to set aside 3 portions of rice, and then eventually 10 cents. And she went around asking people just for a small thing. And through that, she built a whole youth movement that's been ending hunger in Saigon. So I'd like to end with her words. She says, "Do not despise the small act. Every small act, if you do it deeply, profoundly, you can touch the whole universe. My small act, your small act, her small act, his small act. Millions of small acts will build a wonderful world. You can move the hearts of thousands of people this way." So whoever in your life and whatever causes, think of these small acts that each of us can take as we become part of the immune system of the earth in serving and helping others with this generous heart. Thank you, and all the best to you and all of yours in this holiday season.